Going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today in this video, as you can see by the title, we're installing front and rear brakes on Project Raptor. Now this install will be for all 2007 through 2018 Jeep JK and JKU. This video will be split into two separate parts in one video, so I'm not doing a part one and part two. This will be all one video, but two separate sections. First section we're going to deal with is front brakes. The second section we're going to do is rear brakes. And that's what we're focusing on first, is the front brakes. Now I'm going to show you guys the parts that I have for the front, and I'll show you guys the tools that you guys need, and then we'll go ahead and get started on this installation. So guys, for the parts that we're using today, these are made by TRQ. This is a brand that I really trust. I've used them for an assortment of other vehicles and for Project Raptor as well. It's one of the brands that I really trust. TRQ, NGK, NTK, really NGK and NTK are the same thing, but it's one of the brands that I really trust, and I've never had an issue out of them. So these brakes are their performance slotted and drilled rotors and ceramic brake pads. I'll show you the brake pads here in just a second. I got these for around $300 just for the front and the rear, just the rotors and the pads. Got them for about $300 off of carid.com. I'll link them in the description box below, just the website and the brakes and rotors, so you can get them for yourself if you want to. I wasn't going to do performance brakes just yet. I've got a few other upgrades I wanted to do for Project Raptor before I did performance brakes, but I wanted to just do standard brakes. But this was really the best deal that I could find over performance brakes over standard brakes. Standard brakes at like an O'Reilly's, a Napa, AutoZone, or Advance were about $450 for the front rotors, the rear rotors, and the pads all together. But this whole performance kit was for about $300. Like I said, everything's gonna be linked in the description box below. Also, here are the brake pads that I use. These are the ceramic brake pads set from TRQ. I like to use ceramic over semi-metallic, not really for any specific reason. I just like ceramic a lot better, and that's what I've worked with in the past on installing at work and installing on other vehicles as well. So let's go ahead and jump into, I'll show you guys what you need for this installation, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the installation. All right, guys, so here are all the tools that you will need for this installation. Now, I'm not showing off camera, so you will need a car jack and a couple of jack stands to support the vehicle. You will need a torque wrench. This is a torque wrench. This is a very expensive torque wrench, but there are a bunch of torque wrenches you can get. You might have one already, or you can get them from your local auto parts store. Torque wrench for torquing down your lug nuts to spec of your vehicle, which I recommend you do that so you don't lose a wheel while you're driving, because that would be very bad. Let's see. I will be using an impact today. This is my Milwaukee M18. I'll be using this today to just get the lug nuts off faster and get all the bolts and stuff off faster, as well as this as well. I don't really know what the name of this powered battery operated socket wrench. I don't know. I don't really remember the name of this, but this will help get the bolts off faster than a normal socket wrench. A breaker bar to break free some of the bolts that won't come undone properly or faster, for sure. A hammer, just to get, sometimes your rotors will seize onto your wheel hub, so you have to beat them off with a hammer. Some various socket sizes. I've got a 17, 19, and a 21. I'm not sure if we'll need any of those today. I just have them just in case. I have another 21. I have a 13 millimeter socket for the bolts of the caliper, to take the caliper off. I have my wheel lock key. Now, some Jeeps have wheel lock keys and some of them don't. Mine does. It's a special spline. It's basically a spline key for the lug nuts. If you do not have your wheel lock key, but you do have wheel locks on your vehicle, I recommend either going to the Jeep dealership to get one, ordering one offline somewhere. Maybe your local O'Reilly's or AutoZone or Napa will have one, or Advance. I'm not really sure. I recommend finding this first thing. This is the most important thing to get your wheels off so we can do this job. I've got another 19mm socket, and then I've got this tool right here. This is a caliper compressor. Now, this one was about 60 bucks at O'Reilly's. You can get this at any auto parts store. I've got two of these. This one is pretty much the easiest one you can get. You just put this in between your piston of your caliper and the caliper itself, and you push it, and or you clamp it together, and it will compress the piston on your caliper. I've got a few caliper hangers here so we can hang the caliper up out of the way while we're removing everything and putting new brake parts on. And then this is also a different kind of caliper compressor. I got this from Matco Tools. Shout out to Matco Tools. This one's a little bit more expensive. I don't really remember how much it is. I just recommend going to your local auto parts store and seeing what you can find for a caliper compressor there. There are multiple different kinds. I do recommend the one I showed earlier, but if you have one of these, they're a very helpful tool as well. These are a little bit easier to use. I guess they're about the same, but I find this one a little bit easier to use than that one. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this installation. All right, guys, so the first thing you want to do is you want to take your car jack and put it underneath the diff of your axle. And this will either jack up both sides of your vehicle or it'll jack up one side. For me, I know which side this is going to jack up. It's going to jack up the driver's side first. Go ahead and jack this up now. And I'll see you guys when we're done. All right, so our car jack is underneath and it's jacked up one side. Now, we're gonna take one of our jack stands and put it underneath. I'm gonna put it underneath where the lower control arm is. I'll show you guys that here in just a second. And we'll go ahead and start taking the wheel off. So once you've got your jack stand centered where you want it to be, you can go ahead and lower your car jack onto the jack stand. Just like that. And we can go ahead and move on to the next step. Guys, so the next thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna grab our impact, our 19mm socket, and our wheel lock key, and remove the lug nuts of the wheel. And once you've got all of the lug nuts removed from the wheel, we can go ahead and take the wheel off. All right, guys, so the first step that we want to do here is we want to take our caliper off of the caliper bracket, and to do that is removing this bolt here and this bolt here. They are a 13mm socket or a 1/2 inch socket. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, once you have your caliper bolts removed, the two 13mm sockets or two 1/2 inches, you can go ahead and take your caliper off and hang it up with a caliper hanger or a bungee cord or a coat hanger or whatever you have. I'm just gonna put mine right here for now and should just slide right off. Some of these might take a little bit of time to get off. If you need to use a hammer, just slightly tap on it to remove it and just hang up the caliper like that. All right, guys, so the next thing you want to do is remove your brake pads, and these just simply pull out just like that. You can pull them out. One on the outer facing you will pull towards you, and the other one will pull towards the vehicle just like that. All right, guys, so the next step for this installation is taking off the caliper bracket, and that means we're going to remove this bolt here and this bolt here, and that is a 21mm socket. I've got my breaker bar and my 21mm deep well socket, and we're just going to go ahead and break those loose and then completely remove them. Now, so the bottom bolts are pretty easy to get to. It did take a little bit of strength, as you guys saw, to remove this bolt or to loosen the bolt. This one can be blocked by the bracket right here, that holds in your ABS line that's obviously not holding in mine. We have a way around that. Okay, so this is a 21 millimeter ratcheting wrench that we're going to take and put on here and ratchet this loose. So let's go ahead and remove these bolts now. And I don't have a socket that'll fit this top one, so we're going to have to take this one out the old-fashioned way. And this will completely remove your caliper bracket. Now, like I said before, sometimes your brake rotor will be seized onto your wheel hub, and you have to beat it off with a hammer. You can hit it here in the center, you can hit it here on the edge where the brake pads go, which you're obviously not going to be reusing the old brake rotor, so you can hit it wherever you want, or you can hit it on the back here and punch it out towards yourself. But in this case, mine just comes right off. All right, so now that you have your entire brake system apart, the next step that you want to do is grab your new rotor and you want to put it onto the wheel hub. I like to put mine on backwards first because of the reason, sometimes when you buy new brake pads and you take them out of the packaging in the plastic wrap, they will have oil on them. And you need to clean that oil off with some brake clean. You can get brake clean from anywhere, any hardware store or auto parts store, and you just want to spray off the rotor where the pads sit mainly, but I like to clean it off everywhere else too. Mine did not have any oil on it when I took it out, but I just want to go ahead and demonstrate what you guys do if you do have oil on yours. We can go ahead and flip this around, put it on the right way, just like that, and do the same thing on the other side. Right, perfect. Now, the next step you want to do is you want to grab your caliper bracket right here, and notice on here where your brake pads sit, there are these little itty bitty grooves, if you guys can see those right here. And there's some on the top here where this little metal piece is, and there's some down here with no metal piece on there. Now, depending on what brake part kit or brake parts that you get, some of them will come with new little metal pieces. Let me see if I can pull this off for you. Little metal pieces like this where your brake pad will sit. We're going to be replacing those today because my kit did come with them. If yours did not, you guys can go to your local auto parts store and pick you up a set of these for the front and the rear. We're going to go ahead and replace these, and I'll show you guys how to do that here in just 1 second. So to demonstrate, I went ahead and put one in there to demonstrate. So these are not the same on every single vehicle. Sometimes they're in one piece that covers up both sides, or they're individual like this, or some cars don't even have them at all. So this is the way this is sitting now. This side here is going towards the inside of the vehicle, and these are your little clips here, right? So this piece with just the bigger little clip on there is going to go towards the outside. So just go ahead and push this into place, and they fit right in. They'll clip into place when you're done. Get that in there. All right, just like that, and they clip into place just like this. And your so the bigger spot here, you don't want to put that on the inside because that will rub the rotor and you'll hear a scraping noise and it'll ruin your rotor. So you want to make sure that this bigger spot is on towards the outside of the caliper bracket and not on the inside where it'll scrape your rotor. So I'm going to go ahead and install 2 more on the other side here. Just like that. Now we can go ahead and reinstall our caliper bracket. All right, so now that you've got your caliper bracket installed, we can move on to the brake pads. Now, you're gonna have two different kinds of brake pads that come with your front brake pads. And here's the difference. One brake pad will be just by itself, and one will have a little metal piece just like this. Now this metal piece, what this thing does is, as you can see, there's a little notch sticking out right here, basically onto your brake pad. When your brake pad is on your Jeep or on your vehicle and your brake pad is wearing down, this, if it wears down a little bit like onto this piece here, like to the same level, this will scrape against your rotor and tell you that you need to replace your brake pads. Now I recommend when you do brakes, I recommend that you replace your pads and your rotors together, because if you replace just your pads, you'll pad slap these rotors and you'll ruin your pads and your rotors faster than normally replacing it. So we're gonna go ahead and install this on first. And this, if you follow the curvature of the brake pad to the rotor, go ahead and slide this into place. Slide those into the little notches, just like that, and it'll fit nice and snug, just like that. Same thing with the outer one. Just like that, perfect. Now your brake pads are installed. Now you can take off your caliper off of your hanger and just rest it up on top of your rotor and your caliper bracket, and you can go ahead and compress the piston. I can grab this, there we go. Now I'm going to show you guys how to use this one here. So when you're using this, say you've got this compressed all the way out, right? And you don't know how to push this back in, push this little black piece in right here, and this will push right back in. Now, the curvature of this bracket here goes with the curvature of the caliper. So you slide this into place, compress this enough to where it's just hitting the piston, and it's going to be a little difficult, but it's going to take a little bit of pressure. Just squeeze this and your piston will go into place. You can take your caliper here, and your slide pins are right here. Sometimes, see, this one is easy to compress. This one's seized up top. I can't push this in. You can push it in though. If you want to, you can push it in sometimes with force by your hand or just a little tap of a hammer. Go ahead and reinstall your caliper. Now, once you have your caliper sitting in place, I'll just take a hammer, make sure it's tapped in place. Like that. And you can go ahead. Make sure your holes are nice and lined up. Little bolts. You can go ahead and take your 213 millimeter bolts and reinstall those in holes. Use a knife. There's not something to display. Started. Then now to find another screw. All right, so once you've got these screws in and started, now you can take your socket and tighten those back down. Now, in this case, I'm gonna move the camera down just a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. When I'm tightening this bolt down, and that inner bolt here is spinning as well, you can take your socket, put it on the end of this bolt here, and then take a pair of vice grips or a pair of pliers and hold this down tight while you're tightening this down, and that bolt will tighten. Okay, we got our pair of vice grips here. Very rusty, in fact. And it'll just tighten that down, and it'll be nice and tight. All right, guys, so now we've got the driver's side completely done. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the passenger side myself. Of course, I'm going to film the whole thing, but I'm just going to speed through it. And if I have anything to recommend y'all do, or if I just have anything to say at all, I'll cut in between and talk to you guys about it. But let's go ahead and do the other side. Alright, so now that we've got both sides done on the front, I'm going to show you guys how to properly put your wheel back on. Now, just flip it around. I have my white walls out, of course. We're going to line the lugs up as best as we can. Just push the wheel in. I'm going to get down here on the ground with you guys. And the easiest way I like to do it is put one leg on each side of the wheel and use your legs to lift up on the tire. And you'll lift it up, line your lugs up, and slide the wheel on just like that. Now you can take your lug nuts and just hand thread them on there just a little bit. I've already tightened down the other side and done that. I'm just going to show you guys how to do it on this side. Just go ahead and tighten those down. Just like that. Now you can go and take your impact and tighten these down in a specific way. And I'll show you guys, I'm going to bring you guys closer and show you guys that now. Now to tighten these down, I like to do this in a certain order. I like to do it in like if you were drawing a star on a piece of paper. So start here at the bottom. It's going to be backwards for you guys, I think. Go to the top, back down to the bottom, go across, and do your final one. just like that. And now we're gonna lower it down off of the jacks, the jack stand and the jack, and then I'll show you guys how to properly torque your lug nuts. Okay, so, I know my face really isn't in the camera. So grab your torque wrench. All torque wrenches are different. So the stock torque spec on lug nuts is about 100, but I have 37-inch tires on here. So I'm gonna set mine to about 125. And you wanna tighten these, when you're torquing these down with your torque wrench, you wanna tighten these down the same way you put the lug nuts on. So in a star formation. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys that now. Just like that. Now I'd wait a second and do that one more time just to verify it. Or if you have somebody else there with you, show them what you just did and then have them verify it. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, so now that we've got the front brakes done, the wheels are back on, they're torqued down to spec, we're gonna move on to the rear, but I'm gonna do those tomorrow. So today is Sunday, tomorrow's Monday, I'm off tomorrow, so I'm going to take the time to do the rear brakes tomorrow. For you, that will be like a few seconds, and for me, it'll be a little bit longer. So I'll see you guys in the morning and we'll get started on those rear brakes. Hello guys, welcome back. It's the next day and we are doing the rear brakes. Now I didn't give myself much room on this side. I had to move my vehicle. I didn't give myself much room. So we're going to do the driver rear first. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jack up the rear. I don't have my little stand with me, so I'm having to go freehand on this one. My dad's using it currently. So we're going to jack up the rear and put it up on jack stands. And yeah, we'll pick up right after that. All right guys, so I got one side jacked up and that's the driver rear. And let's go ahead and take the wheel off. All right guys, so once you pull the wheel off, I did lose a little bit of footage here, so I'm having to repeat some things. To remove the caliper, it's two 13mm bolts that go right here. You'll remove those and set the caliper up out of the way. Next, you just want to pull your brake pads straight out. Doesn't matter which one you pull first. And then we're going to move the caliper bracket, which is two 18mm bolts, one sitting right here and one sitting right down here. All right. So, a little update. It took me about an hour to get this caliper bracket off because the bolts have accumulated, I don't know if you can see that, a lot of rust on the threads and in between the threads on both of the bolts. So, all of this is pretty much rusted and needs to be replaced. But I don't have the time nor the patience as of right now to do any of that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have to get a whole new caliper bracket. I can get these from O'Reilly's, and you can get them from pretty much anywhere, any auto parts store. So I'm going to have to order, I'm going to go ahead and get two of them and all new caliper bracket bolts. I don't know if I need one for the other side, but I'm going to go ahead and get one anyway, just in case. And I might as well just go ahead and replace the one on the other side. So we're going to go ahead and order these. And in the next clip, I don't know if we're going to pick right up where we left off here in just a few minutes, or if it's going to be tomorrow or a week from now. I have no idea, so bear with me. this project is going to keep getting longer and longer, I have a feeling, but yeah, we'll see you when I see you. What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's a few days later. It is now Sunday. So it's been a few days. Yeah, it's been a few days and a few rough days. I was so busy with work and working on Black Friday and Thanksgiving and all that, so I didn't have time to come out here, or really the motivation to come out here and work on this. So thank you guys for being patient. It was a few days for me, but it was instant for y'all. So what we're going to do is we're going to reassemble the driver rear side for brakes, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. And I don't have my camera stand out here, so it's just going to be all handheld, so I apologize for the camera work in advance. And then since today is Sunday, I have to work tomorrow, and then I have Tuesday off. We're going to wrap up this video and do the passenger rear brake side. That way, this video, hopefully it comes out sometime next week. We'll see. So after this video, we'll be back on our regularly scheduled program for videos. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, guys. So take your new brake rotor and slip it onto where the old rotor went. And next, we're going to get our caliper bracket. Now, the reason why I had to stop, and I don't know if I said this in a previous clip, so these are your slide pins right here that go into your caliper bracket. And these slide pins can seize up over time. Now, this one has completely seized up. And so I went to O'Reilly's and got some new, hey puppy dog, got some new brake caliper brackets, some new slide pins, and the new bushings that go on there. So we're going to assemble those, or assemble one of them at least, and go ahead and reinstall that on our Jeep. And I'll show you guys how to do that here in 1 second. Alrighty, so once your caliper bolt or caliper bracket is installed, got the new slide pins in along with the new bushings on the top and the bottom, and the bolts are securely in place. I did, however, put some, I think I mentioned this before, the Permatex brake parts lubricant on those caliper bolts in the back there, just so they would be lubricated enough to go into place. And they went in a lot easier than they did coming out. So now, same thing with the front. We're going to do the brake pads, obviously. But like I said, same thing with the front. This is your brake pad sensor of sorts. And this is the one that's going to go onto the back of your rotor, or back of your caliper bracket. So we'll go ahead and get that installed and get the other one installed. And then we'll go on to compress our caliper. Before you put your brake pads in, make sure you have these little metal brackets in place on the caliper bracket, so that way your brake pads can slide in place and stay firmly there. Forgot to mention that. I apologize. Now, another thing is, this is not leaking. By the way, this caliper is not leaking. This is PB Blaster I've sprayed on here. So we've got an issue. My caliper piston, which is this thing right here, this is when you compress your brakes, this pops out against your brake pads, compressing them, allowing you to stop, right? Mine is seized, so that means I'm going to have to go get a whole new caliper. Now, I haven't taken apart the other side yet, so I don't know the condition of that one either. I know it's rusted like this one on the outside, but I don't know if it's seized or not. So now I have to go and get a new caliper. Now, luckily, I do get a core charge with that, so if I bring this old one back after installing the new one, I get like up to like $45 back for this, recycling, quote unquote, this caliper back to whoever I buy the new one from. So now we're gonna have to take a break again and pause on this. So let me explain to you what's happening now. This video is not at all going the way I expected it to. I expected this to go as swiftly as possible, which swiftly means as fast as possible. because I do brakes every single day at my job, and they're easy. So this one's being difficult. One, I know I don't have a shop, I don't have a lift yet. So this is going a lot harder than I expected. It's probably the most difficult brake job I've ever done, including all of the rust. Typically these brake jobs are pretty easy. So I apologize in advance for this video being not out to you guys earlier than I thought it was going to be. I apologize for not uploading this video earlier because I didn't expect it to take this long, like I said. So we're gonna have to go get a new caliper, and I'm probably gonna have to get two for the other side here. So yeah, so stick with me. This is a pain in the ass, but we're gonna get it done. So, but these things happen. I will say these things happen, and you just have to go through it. You're just gonna have to go through it. So we'll see you guys here in a bit. All right, guys. So now it's now Tuesday. We got our new caliper from O'Reilly's. Let me see if I can get out of the sun so you guys can see. You can see a little bit. All right. So we got our new caliper from O'Reilly's. We went ahead and just went ahead and installed this. It's all installed properly. Everything's on there how it should be, and that is the back left finished. I'm gonna go ahead and put the wheel back on this side and torque everything down, tighten everything down, lower this, and jack up that side. And I'm not going to film that side at all unless I come across something that I should point out. Like I said, I don't have my stand. I don't know where my camera stand went. My dad, I think, took it and is using it somewhere. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap this area up, and start on that side. And if I find anything that I need to film, I'll film it, and you guys will see it in the next clip. And if not, it'll be the outro. So let's get to it. All right, guys. So I guess I didn't film anything on the passenger rear because I didn't deem it worthy enough to. Everything, all the bolts and everything came out perfectly, and everything went smoothly. I just put the new caliper on that side as well and bled the whole system. Still having a little bit of a spongy brake pedal, but I'm gonna test drive it up and down the driveway and see if I can't get it to compress good, and if not, I'm gonna have to do a brake flush. So we'll see what happens, and I'll let you guys know in the community section of this channel on what happens with the Jeep. But anyway, that's the ending of this video. I apologize I couldn't get it out sooner. It's just these projects, sometimes some things just don't go right, and you just have to go with the flow, not get upset about it, have patience, and you'll eventually get it done. So I apologize for that. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more content like this, and comment down below what brakes you're running on your Jeep, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.